Good afternoon or good evening or good morning or whenever you may be catching this show. Welcome to another week of wild and wacky chit chats with the twins. I am Krista and I will be coming on and doing today's show that I called Beyond the Mind's Prison Walls. Beyond the mind's prison walls, and I just want to come and find myself on here. I haven't done one of these for a while. The world has been coming as it may, and hopefully I can see your comments here. So there's been a lot of stuff going on in the last month. Kara and I have this private group called La Resistance, and we've been playing with a different tool or a different question just about every month for the last 2 years. And we've taken Access Foundation, a bunch of Access Consciousness classes of Foundation, talked to the entities, access bars, and all of them we've taken more than once, some of them several times, and basically we've learned a lot of different tools which are just questions. And so the last question that we did was, if I wasn't the story, who would I be? And that question was very interesting. It was a very crazy month of just a whole lot of awareness of all of the places that we tell ourselves all of these stories that will then justify what we've decided is real and true, is the right thing to do, is the way that you need to be. Hi, Laverne. Yay for comments. So it was just like really mind-blowing, literally mind-blowing, because it's like everything has a story. Like there's so many stories that we all function from that we have to make real and true to justify our lives. And the thing with the mind is that it can only know what it's seen before, what it's felt before, what it's experienced before, you know, all of the things that it's bought as real and true. So all of our values, everything we hold valuable in our life, everything that is, you know, the way that it has to be, our laws, our rules, and that's different in a lot of different places. So depending where you're from, that's going to look really different. So I really just ask you to ponder whether any of that is actually real or true then. How can it be that my reality and the laws here and the rules and the regulations and the beliefs, how are they more real than somebody else's beliefs, laws, values, all of these things? It's what we've made real and true in our world. And in order for that to stay real and true and right and good, we have to make up stories to justify that. And that takes a whole lot of judgment. And we don't even know that we don't have another choice. So this question we did really began to unlock my world for me. And, you know, sometimes it brings up all sorts of things that you don't want to know and you don't want to believe. And the thing that makes that hard is the significance, the value, the relevance we give to all of it. And that's not real either. So what if you could strip all of that away? And so Kara and I are in it's a monthly ongoing group with Crystal Crawford, who's an Access Consciousness facilitator. And it's all about the 10 Keys to Freedom by Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness. And we are into the 3rd chapter. And the first 3 chapters, basically each chapter, and there's 10 keys. So each chapter is a different tool. And all of these tools are just really simple, pragmatic questions that you can ask yourself, that once you ask yourself and be and practice and use a lot, begins to shift and change your world in the way that you see it forever. And so the first 3 of this book, and he says if you take each of the keys and you use that tool, you be that tool for 6 months each, you will have total freedom. So the first chapter is, would an infinite being choose this? And we are all infinite beings. And to me, like, I've heard this, I've played with the tool, would an infinite being choose this? No, well, why the hell am I? You know, like, why am I making things significant and relevant? And why am I believing all of these stories and these judgments and these accusations and all this stuff and on and on and on? You know, if an infinite being wouldn't choose this, why would I? And it's like, yeah, well, that's all good in theory. And I know I'm an infinite being, but, and then a bunch more stories to justify why I can't choose it. And so the last couple of days, it's like starting to unravel for me. And I've just been looking at all of the stories for the last month that I've been telling myself. And I realize that all those stories keep me feeling pretty small, pretty tight, pretty heavy, pretty nauseated, pretty angry, pretty guilty, you know, all the stories and all the things. And it's like, wow, but none of that's real. Well, what does that mean that it's not real? Like, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. Hey, Louie, nice to see you on here. So, yeah, what if none of it is real? What is that? And so I've been being the infinite space of being, which is space. It's just actual space where you're not up in your head, you're not clouded by beliefs, you're not clouded by points of view. Like, I like to imagine it like this house of cards around me. Every point of view I take on, every value I have, everything I make significant, everything I make real, everything I make true. Well, hey there, mummers. Nice to see you on here. Every time I do that, I'm not the space. I am not being in the infinite space of being. I am in my reality, mine. The one I've made up with my thoughts, with the things that I've bought as real and true, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, even though, not to throw a curveball in here, that 99% of all of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't even belong to us. We're just like that psychically aware. So whose reality am I even living in? Am I even living in mine? So that can feel pretty frightening and pretty mind-blowing, and it can actually push a lot of buttons. It can make a kid feel pretty mad, pretty upset, pretty pissed off, because it's like, well, yes, it is real, yes, it is true, because otherwise, if it's not, I've been living from a total lie. So be the space. Go beyond all of that reaction. Go beyond all of those perceived thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Go beyond all those made up stories and values and beliefs and everything that you've made real and true. For what? To fit in, to be like everybody else, to not be wrong. So when you're the space, all of that just disappears. So let's be the space for a moment here. And anything that any of this has brought up in your world, anywhere that it's made you react, anywhere that you want to have a story about it, a reason and a justification, just imagine that house of cards around you just being knocked over and having like a domino effect around you. All the walls coming down, and what is left is space. So I don't know if you've ever had the luxury of being in a wide open space, a pasture, even looking at an ocean, being from Saskatchewan, you can look on and on forever. It's like that space where there's nothing in your way. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing making you wrong. You just like have this wide open space of possibilities. And what would you choose? What would you create and generate? And so then the second chapter is interesting point of view, because all of those cards are your point of view. So if you're just an interesting point of view, then none of it is really true. You recognize you have a point of view. It's not that you don't have a point of view. You just begin to recognize that you have a point of view, but it's just an interesting point of view. And we all have very interesting points of view. So if we didn't have to make anyone, including ourselves, wrong for our point of view, what could be created? We wouldn't have to resist and react to when someone has a different point of view than us. We wouldn't have to like make ourselves wrong when other people didn't agree with us. We wouldn't have to justify. We wouldn't have to seek validation. And what would that create? Space. Again, back to the infinite being. Being space. And I heard something the other day, and I forget. I think I can't remember where I heard it. I think it was in Salon de la Consciousness with Crystal Crawford. And it's like, if you have any fixed point of view, whether you like agree with your point of view or not, and it's usually the ones that we agree with that we think are right are the ones that are like obviously the hardest to change. But when we have a fixed point of view, whether it's perceived right or wrong, good or bad, real or true, whatever it is, whatever definition we've given it, if we have a fixed point of view, we cannot receive. And I finally got that in a different way than I'd ever gotten before. If you have a fixed point of view, you cannot receive, because your point of view makes something solid, real, and true in your reality, in your mind. It doesn't actually make it so, but we do that. We create these walls and barriers with our mind. And so, like, just for a really silly example, it's like pink is my favorite color. That's my point of view, is that pink, I love the color pink, and it's my favorite color, and I want all things pink. So if I have that fixed point of view, then no matter what else shows up in my world, it might be like the coolest blue sweater for like, this is a very simple, light, easy example to see, but it's like there's this blue sweater that someone's trying to give me for free, and I'm just like, no thanks, because I only like pink. And so we won't receive that because it doesn't match our point of view. And all of a sudden, if I was to say yes to this blue sweater and everybody knows I love pink, then I'm wrong, because now I'm wearing blue. So now I'm changing. I'm not being me. People aren't going to like it. I can't choose it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit my very fixed point of view. And so, like, seriously, take that into every area of your life. Like, in relationships, what you're willing to receive in a relationship, what you're willing to receive from other people in forms of, like, compliments or gifts or help or money. If you have the point of view that you are this independent person who doesn't need help from other people, then you cut off all receiving in order to maintain your point of view. And if you accept help from someone, or if someone offers you a gift and you receive it, then all of a sudden you're wrong. So simply, number one, the infinite being creates space. Anytime you are fighting with yourself, anytime you're like feel really heavy, really like fixed on an emotion or a feeling or just a story that's running through your head, and you're just like, you're looping and you can't get out of it, you feel stuck, you feel like everything is happening to you all the time. It's like, drop all of that just for a minute. You don't have to know what's going to happen, but do that for you. Just give yourself a minute to be the space. And ask, what am I aware of? And you don't have to have anything come to you, but it creates this place of being present, slowing down for a second, everything going on in your mind, getting out of your mind. We're always in our mind, we're always in our head, we're always projecting what's going to be next, we're always expecting how things are going to turn out. We have all of these stories of how the day is going to look and be and feel, and what needs to happen and how it has to happen and why it has to happen. So it's like, if you can become space, you can give yourself a break from the monkey mind. Can you imagine if you practice this several times a day, even once a day for 5 minutes? Can you imagine what might change if you gave yourself a minute to be space and allow other things to show up? And then if you could be an interesting point of view, and you could just be like the curious observer of your life, and as this space, look at what's happening in your world and question it, and just be an interesting point of view about this, whatever this is. So even bring something up right now. Bring something up right now that you can't change, something you feel hopeless about, something you feel angry about, frustrated about, devastated about, anywhere you're making yourself so wrong about. Pull up the energy of that, and now be the energy and the space of interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And just by saying it, just take note of the energy, how you feel in your body, and be the space again. So push out in every direction. Just imagine you and all the molecules of you just spreading out worldwide. And everywhere you look, there you are. Even beyond the earth, into the universe. Everywhere you look, there you be. And from an interesting point of view, with all of these cards knocked over, what would and what could you choose? Which takes me into the third chapter that we're in right now in the 10 Keys to Total Freedom, is choice in every 10 seconds. Choice in every 10 seconds. So in order to have choice in every 10 seconds, you do have to be the space, and you have to be interesting point of view. Otherwise, you don't have infinite choice, because all your choices are based on right and wrong, good and bad, the right thing to choose and the wrong thing to choose, the judgment, the projections, what's expected of you to choose based on the definition of you, based on the values of your society. So choice in every 10 seconds is just like having a catalog, an infinite catalog of choices, and you really honestly get to flip through and pick out whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel light. Makes you feel light. And that's That's what I'm after, is following my path of lightness, which is gonna be different than yours. And that is why you really can't compare yourself to others. We live in such a world of polarity. There's this and there's that. And it's like, if I can get out of my head and out of my mind and beyond the prison walls of my mind, if I can get beyond that and I can get into space, be the space, and I can just have an interesting point of view about everything, I can choose whatever I want. And the choice might not make any sense, but it begins to allow you to trust yourself, to trust you, what feels light in your world. So it's like, I might have the idea to do something totally crazy that I've never chosen before, and it makes no sense. And if I go to my mind is going to try to talk me out of it because of all my points of view, because of all my beliefs, because of all my values. I'm not free. I'm not actually free. I'm choosing based on what I've made up in my mind. That is good. That is not bad. That is not wrong. Hello there, Kara. So, what would you choose? What would you choose? And our next question, which I forget, we decided a date, and I actually don't know if Kara, if you responded that date works. It will be in the next week or so, week and a half probably. We'll put the link here. You guys can join up with us. Basically, we come on in our private Facebook group. We do it just about daily. Facebook Live. It's free. Okay. Was it October 25th? I think it's next Monday. Yeah, the 25th. So, anyways, we come on, one of us, sometimes two of us, and we say a question. We ask, caught myself. We ask a question 30 times a day for 30 days. And you guys, it seems so simple. It seems too good to be true. It seems like it can't be that easy. And what is all of that? All of that is a conclusion. All of that is something that we've made real, and so then it can't. It can't be that easy because my point of view says so. So what else would be possible beyond the prison walls of our mind, beyond what we think we have to choose, beyond what we have made real and true for each and every one of us, which isn't the same for any of us. So again, how can any of it actually be real? And our next question is all about being wrong, because boy, do we love to make ourselves wrong. And interestingly enough, I started asking this question this morning just to give her a whirl, just to see how it would go and what would come up, and it was actually mind-blowing, because I spent the morning doing what I wanted, because I'm practicing being the space, I'm practicing being interesting point of view, I'm using these tools basically all day long and choice in every 10 seconds. And what I became aware of was that a lot of while I was still choosing what I wanted to choose, I was making myself wrong along the way, because I had somewhere decided, without even realizing it, that I should be doing this and I should be doing that and I should be being productive, and it's nice out, so I should be outside, and the kids are gone, so I should be spending time doing what I can do when the kids aren't here. It was just all of this crap going on in my head, like this constant nagging at myself and trying to make myself wrong. And it was so mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, I bet you 99.9999999% of the time we are making ourselves wrong. All the time. And so when you are constantly wrong, how can you actually be free? And how can you actually be happy? And how can you actually choose for you? And what I realized is all of these places I make myself wrong, constantly wrong, they're all designed to fulfill my stories, to fulfill my points of views, to fulfill my values, to fulfill what's right and wrong in my world. And if I step even one step outside of those boundaries, those walls, those barriers, that prison, I have to make myself wrong. Even though it feels light in my world, I have to make myself wrong. Well, I'm here to tell you that I don't want to choose that way anymore. And I want to invite you to something greater. Kara and I would like you to come on this journey with us of possibilities beyond right and wrong. Like, what would you choose? What would you actually choose? If you could choose whatever you wanted and you knew no one was looking, no one would find out, what would you choose? And all of these questions and all of these tools from Access Consciousness, they give you a freedom. They give you permission to be you, to choose what makes you happy. Because you guys, like, we have chosen to come here on this fine planet called Earth, embodied in whatever beautiful body you're in, with the people you've chosen, and perhaps the job you've chosen, the career you've chosen, the amount of money you've chosen, the kids you've chosen, the relationships, the way you feel about your body, all of these things you have chosen. So what would it be like if you didn't have to make yourself wrong for any of it, if you were never wrong, and you could just keep choosing, and you could keep having and being whatever it was that lit you up? So this is an invitation for you. If you're looking for a little lightness and fun and adventure and mischievousness in your world, then come and join us. And if you're brave enough, because it does take a whole different kind of brave to step into the space of being you and unapologetically. So October 25th, we'll put the link here. If you want to join us again, it's free. We would love to have you. If you know anyone that would be interested in something like this, please share this video with them. And if you like this video, please show us with hitting that like button or the love button or whatever button you want. And thank you for joining us in another week of Wild and Wacky Chit Chats with the twins. And we hope to see you soon in our private group for our next 30-day challenge. Bye-bye.